Architecture of accomplished teaching. The architecture of accomplished teaching provides a view of how the use of the five core propositions and the standards that are developed from them result in student learning. As depicted in the architecture of accomplished teaching illustration shown below, one strand represents teaching practice as grounded in the five core propositions, while the other strand represents the teacher's impact on students and their learning. The architecture of accomplished teaching, what is underneath the surface. First, your students. Who are they? Where are they now? What do they need? In what order do they need it? Where should I begin? Second, set high, worthwhile goals appropriate for these students at this time in this setting. Third, implement instruction designed to attain those goals. Fourth, evaluate student learning in light of the goals and the instruction. Fifth, reflect on student learning, the effectiveness of the instructional design, particular concerns and issues. Sixth, set new, high, and worthwhile goals that are appropriate for these students at this time. Five core propositions are: teachers are committed to students and their learning. Teachers know the subjects they teach and how to teach those subjects to students. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. Teachers think systematically about their practices and learn from experience. Teachers are members of learning communities. The National Board program certifies accomplished teachers who positively influence student learning through effective teaching practice. The process includes the five propositions for all teachers, a common set of accomplished teaching standards specific to the content field and the student's developmental levels, and a set of evidence-based assessments specific to the field that certify what accomplished teachers know and do. Standards Introduction. Accomplished teachers believe that educators are critical to making the world a better place. They know that teachers are powerful agents of change. They understand the profound power of a teacher's words and their ability to influence the children who enter and leave their classrooms. Accomplished teachers reflect continually on their practice as well as the decisions they make because they are appropriate. They appreciate the artistry, knowledge, and skills that characterize excellent teaching. Accomplished middle childhood generalists view their students as the future, as aspiring communicators, contributors, and problem solvers who will one day make decisions on a local, regional, national, and global level. These teachers make learning relevant, integrating it within a variety of contexts so that the opportunities for learning are evident and applicable, showing students how to make connections to the world around them. Teachers and their students belong to interrelated learning communities, informed by the relationships between classroom, home, local, and global cultures. Accomplished teachers thus collaborate with families, community members, and other educators and present multiple perspectives on issues to produce critical, independent thinkers who embrace individuality while exercising intellectual responsibility in a global society. These teachers want their students to think about the world beyond themselves, their families, and their connections. Accomplished childhood generalists know that students can reach potentials they cannot yet conceive. They realize that the boundless possibility of these children is powerful and inspiring. To achieve this goal, they consider the needs of the whole child: social, physical, emotional, and intellectual. Accomplished teachers demonstrate confidence, flexibility, perseverance, and competence, which they strive to instill in their students and model for their colleagues. This revised edition of Middle Childhood Generalist Standards emphasizes the significance of developing and refining effective, innovative teaching skills while strengthening creative problem solving and response to change. Foundational to these goals is the importance of professional practice, what it means to advocate and work for students, their families, and communities, to act as educational leaders, and to reflect upon the teaching and learning in a sustained and comprehensive manner. The National Board for Professional Teaching Standards committees responsible for the revised edition of these standards recognize and acknowledge the increasing demands placed on and the responsibilities assigned to educators of the 21st century. They understand that, in the face of these challenges, it is imperative for teachers to become empowered as professionals, to enhance their pedagogical skills, and to build their capacity as educational leaders and change agents. Accomplished teachers know that all children can learn. The teachers engage students by sharing the joy of learning and fostering creativity, perseverance, and a desire to succeed. Accomplished middle childhood generalists teach in a variety of settings and hold a myriad of responsibilities. But they can all share a singular passion: the desire to have students know, understand, and fully realize that learning can enrich their lives. Such teachers accept the significant challenge of helping students transition from early childhood to adolescence. These teachers encourage their students to become more resilient so they will be able to negotiate future challenges on their own. Accomplished teachers know they can make a significant difference in a child's life by helping that child build a strong sense of character and a feeling of self worth. These teachers see their students as individuals with their own likes, dislikes, families, cultures, histories, and aspirations. Accomplished teachers strive to build their students' trust within inclusive environments. Middle childhood generalists distinguish themselves not only by a command of the subject areas they teach, but also by their disposition toward students, the pedagogy they use to enhance students' learning and development, and their commitment to the integration of subject area knowledge. This emphasis on interdisciplinary studies stems from a desire to help students see important connections among ideas and find relevance and meaning in their learning. The world outside the classroom requires a multifaceted approach to thinking and acting. Seldom do individuals face compartmentalized tasks that require knowledge of only one discipline. To teach in an integrated manner, accomplished generalists possess a strong foundation in the content knowledge and skills of the various subject areas comprising the elementary school curriculum: English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, the arts, and health and wellness. This depth of knowledge provides teachers with the flexibility to vary their approaches. Depending on their students' needs and their immediate instructional goals, it also allows them to distinguish between significant ideas and topics of lesser importance. Teachers' extensive knowledge base allows them to determine and address ambitious but reasonable expectations for student learning, to sequence instructional activities in ways that make sense conceptually, to see the underlying structures and connections among various subjects, and to coordinate strategies and ideas as part of interdisciplinary teams. Accomplished practitioners employ a wide variety of instructional strategies that actively engage all students, promote collaboration, provide for various levels of concrete and abstract representations, foster student inquiry, and promote creative thinking. Sensitive to their students' individual differences, accomplished teachers tailor their instruction accordingly. In these revised standards, knowledge of content and curriculum covers the breadth of subject area knowledge that accomplished middle childhood generalists possess, while instructional decision making addresses how they employ this knowledge in their teaching. The latter standard emphasizes the cyclical and interrelated nature of assessment, instruction, and reflection, with an understanding that information is not simply delivered to students, but that meaningful learning requires the students to employ new ideas in real world contexts. Accomplished teachers forge relationships with their students that help them in the development of habits. Accomplished teachers forge relationships with their students that help guide them in developing the habits of critical and creative thinkers and the inquiring nature of the intellectually curious. These endeavors, which result in the acquisition of deepening knowledge, can in turn lead to the joy of learning and the pleasure of teaching others. Accomplished teachers work collaboratively to create educational partnerships that increase student learning. Partnership and outreach seeks to provide a broad understanding of family structures, which vary widely, and a focused description of how accomplished teachers view their partnerships with each family. These teachers understand that communication does not emanate solely from the classroom to the home as directed by a teacher. Rather, it accommodates a flow of ideas, projects, and programs from multiple sources, such as between the home and the classroom, or between the classroom and the local community and beyond. In establishing an environment for learning, the learning environment is viewed as an ever widening community that encompasses classroom, home, local, and global cultures, with which accomplished teachers work in the collective pursuit of educating all children. The accomplished teacher monitors the social and emotional dynamics of the classroom while establishing a learning environment that thrives on these social interactions. The revised edition of the standards emphasizes an understanding of classroom climate, as well as the accomplished teacher's ongoing reflection upon this and other aspects of knowledge for the pedagogical teaching. To support content-related and pedagogical goals, accomplished teachers integrate and use instructional tools, including technology, within the curriculum. Applications of such technological and other related tools are thus embedded throughout the standards with an awareness that today's emerging technology will look much different in the future. While no one can predict the specific types of innovations we may one day enjoy, accomplished teachers remain as open as possible to the current and future use of emerging instructional tools. The standards therefore explore how such tools, including technology, may be used to support teaching and learning for themselves and their students instead of focusing on how to use specific tools which may change. The increasingly rapid pace of social interaction and technological advancement requires teachers and their students to be flexible, critical, and creative problem solvers. Changes in policies, educational practice, and social dynamics affect decisions and classroom cultures. This necessarily influences the ways accomplished teachers approach the profession. The management of outside influences can be challenging for the accomplished teacher, making a proactive attitude and consistent reliance on careful responses critical. Defining the course of the profession is imperative in this context, which is why the committee created a new standard, responsiveness to change. Another standard, professionalism, leadership, and advocacy, has been expanded to include the importance of acting as a professional within various contexts, helping to define the course of the profession, advocating for students, promoting teachers as educational leaders, and modeling for students what it means to be a lifelong learner and an engaged citizen. This standard acknowledges that leadership can be demonstrated in different ways, but the assertiveness of the accomplished teacher and empowerment of the teaching profession remain paramount, especially given the proliferation of educational data and the policies impacting teaching and teachers. Accomplished teachers have powerful voices. They realize their potential and seek forums for voicing their views, beliefs, and ideals, to speak among and with one another to define teaching excellence for their profession and the educational community at large. Finally, while diversity and reflection are topics addressed within separate standards, they're an important focus through the standards due to their influence on every aspect of learning and teaching for students and teachers alike. An appreciation of individual differences and respect for others occurs when we take the time to learn about each other and strive to achieve common goals. Similarly, the accomplished educator reflects continually on actions and decisions to improve teaching practice. A thoughtful respect for diversity and a disciplined reliance on reflection are hallmarks of accomplished teachers. These standards should in no way be considered definitive or all-inclusive. They are meant to address critical issues, describe teaching expectations, and provide a lens for professional development. The art and science of teaching are complex. As in so many other fields, there's typically more than one way to achieve any given goal. This document does not intend to suggest that one approach is preferable to another. Accomplished teachers realize that different approaches are needed for different students at different times. More importantly, they understand that all goals lead to student learning. Accomplished teachers believe that students represent the first and final consideration for all educators. Developing high and rigorous standards for accomplished practice. Middle Childhood Generalist Standards describes what accomplished teachers should know and be able to do. The standards are meant to reflect the professional consensus at this point about the essential aspects of accomplished practice. The deliberations of the 3rd and 4th edition committees were informed by various national and state initiatives on student and teacher standards that have been operating concurrently with the development of National Board for Professional Teaching standards. As the understanding of teaching and learning continues to evolve over the next several years, these standards will be updated again. An essential tension of describing accomplished practice concerns the difference between the analysis and the practice of teaching. The former tends to fragment the profession into a number of discrete duties, such as designing learning activities, providing quality explanation, modeling, managing the classroom, and monitoring student progress. Teaching as it actually occurs, on the other hand, is a seamless activity. Everything an accomplished teacher knows through study, research, and experience is brought to bear daily in the classroom through innumerable designs that shape learning. Teaching frequently requires balancing the demands of several important educational goals. It depends on accurate observations of the particular classroom and setting, and is subject to revision on the basis of continuing developments in the classroom. The paradox, then, is that any attempt to write standards that dissect what accomplished teachers know and are able to do will, to a certain extent, misrepresent the holistic nature of how teaching actually takes place. Nevertheless, the fact remains certain identifiable commonalities characterize the accomplished practice of teachers. The standards that follow are designed to capture the knowledge, artistry, proficiency, and understandings, both deep and broad, that contribute to the complex work that is accomplished teaching. The standards format. Accomplished teaching appears in many different forms, and it should be acknowledged at the outset that these specific standards are not the only way it could have been described. No linearity, atomization, or hierarchy is implied in this vision of accomplished teaching, nor is each standard of equal weight. Rather, the standards are presented as aspects of teaching that are analytically separable for the purposes of this standards document, but that are not discrete when they appear in practice. Standard statement. This is a succinct statement of one vital aspect of the practice of the accomplished middle childhood generalist. Each standard is expressed in terms of observable teacher actions that have an impact on students. Elaboration. This passage provides a context for the standard, along with an explanation of what teachers need to know, value, and do if they are to fulfill the standard. The elaboration includes descriptions of teacher dispositions towards students, their distinctive roles and responsibilities, and their stance on a range of ethical and intellectual issues that regularly confront them. In addition, throughout the document are examples illustrating accomplished practice and demonstrating how decisions integrate various individual considerations and cut across the standards document. If the standards pull apart accomplished teaching into discrete elements, the examples put them back together in ways more clearly recognizable to teachers. Because the National Board believes there's no single right way to teach students, these examples are meant to encourage teachers to demonstrate their own best practice.